Hi guys, welcome back or welcome to my channel. As you can see by the title of this video, it's something a bit different. Normally I'm here with travel content, but I thought let me switch it up. Let me do some language content. I do have a couple more language content videos coming on my channel because, you know, we travel but we learn languages as well. So I thought let me do the language tag because I just love learning languages. I love learning languages. And I found this video. I filmed this video, how old am I? 21. I filmed this video when I was like 14 and it's been archived because nobody should see that. Nobody should see that video. It wasn't bad, it was just no one needs to see it. I'm gonna do another one, which I'm gonna do right now. If you see me looking down, it's because I'm gonna answer the questions about the language tag. So yeah, let's get into it. First question, what's your native language? As you can tell by the the language that I'm actually filming this video and by my accent, my native language is English. I live in England. I'm British. Lived here my whole life. English. What was your first language learning experience? So my first experience is probably, I was at nursery, so I was like 2-3 years old. And then there was this woman that was French and she would come in and she would teach us French and she'd be like, very basic, like, 1, 2, 3, bonjour, au revoir. And I think that's why it has to be where my language learning, like love for it came from. What's my French level like today? I'll get into that, but I basically have been doing French since the age of 3, and that's the first language learning experience that I can remember. Third questions, what languages have you studied and why did you start them? Oh, okay. First experience, I'm gonna go in order of languages and then I'll talk about that. So Spanish, I speak Spanish, guys. There's not a lot. I have some Spanish videos on my channel if you want to watch them. I'll probably do more in the future because I need to keep speaking Spanish. So I've been studying Spanish since 2016. It is currently 2022, which is 6 years. That's 6 years. And I started off teaching myself with this book. I have it here because I've just filmed another video. Spanish in 3 months. And why did I start it? I'd always go to Spain because that is, like, when you're British, you go to Spain, do you know what I mean, on holiday and stuff like that. And I was just going there, and I think 2015 Christmas, I was in Malaga, and I was just like, New Year's resolution, learn Spanish, because I've been doing French in school, I'm enjoying it, but I love Spain, so I was like, let me do Spanish. So that's why I started it, and I'd probably say that's my best, like, second language, like other language other than my like native language that I know. So Spanish is definitely up there. So it goes English and then Spanish and then French. So I spoke a little bit about how I started that when I was 3 years old. Why did I start it? Because I think my parents actually paid for it. Woman was teaching me, and then when I went to primary school and I was in year 6, I was 10 years old, I had a teacher from Mauritius. So we'd have French classes as part of our primary school curriculum, but he would do things in French that he didn't need to do in French because he's from Mauritius and he just wanted us to learn. And then when we went to school, they're like, pick a language. I was like, French, because that's all I knew. So yeah, I don't really have a reason for starting French, but I do really enjoy it. French music, I love it. J'aime les chansons françaises, ouais. I love French music and French songs. But yeah, started that when I was 3, so that is 2004. Oh my god. Third language would be Portuguese. I'm currently learning Portuguese. As we speak, I've just started a book called Portuguese in 3 months. Why did I start learning Portuguese? I feel like because I was really good in Spanish, like, not that I don't have any more to learn in Spanish, I still have a lot to learn, but I thought I was at a very good level where I could take on more languages now, because I was really doing French and Spanish in school. Well, we'll get into that. I was really doing French and Spanish. I thought, okay, my Spanish is really good, let's just park that so it wouldn't be any more active learning, more passive learning with Spanish, and then let's pick up Portuguese. I love Brazilian music. I love it. I've been to Portugal and Brazilian Portuguese, I like it. People say they don't like the sound. I love it. I remember we were in Madrid for like the Champions League and stuff, and I saw like a Brazilian presenter, and I was just there, and he was like interviewing me. I'm not good enough in Portuguese to be interviewed, I can tell you that now, but he was interviewing me in Portuguese. I was like, yeah, oi gente, like it was just so good. So I've been studying that for about a day. Like actively studying it for a day, but by the time this video comes out, it would have been like maybe 3 weeks, and like I'm excited to see where my Portuguese level goes. Another language that I've studied is German. When I went to school, right, they will like pick a language and will give you another one out of French, German, Spanish. I was like, I'm picking French because that's what I know, and hopefully they gave me Spanish. Did they give me Spanish? No, I got German. So I did German for 2 years. Ich habe am 3. Februar Geburtstag. I know phrases in German. I can't claim that language. I don't really like it, but that's just my personal opinion. And then Yoruba, I would say that's the last language I studied because I am Nigerian. I'm not gonna come and speak in Yoruba before people come and slate me, but that is like my parents speak to each other in Yoruba. I'm surrounded by it, like my family. So I did like passively, I learned it when I was younger, but I think my parents just stopped speaking to me in Yoruba. So when I got older, I was like, I want to speak Yoruba, like I want to speak it. So I did find like some resources, and I'm working on it. Don't ask me what my Yoruba level is like right now. I can understand more than I can speak, but I am working on it. So just to wrap it up, languages I've studied: Spanish, French, German, Portuguese, and Yoruba. Am I gonna learn any more? Vamos a ver. We're gonna see. How does your personality affect how you learn languages? I would say I'm quite a social person. I do like talking to people and making new friends. So like the best way that I learn a language is going out there, which is technically, in my opinion, the best way, is to go out there and speak to people. So I find it so easy to, like when I was learning Spanish, like I was out there speaking with people. Any chance, like, oh my God, I was in, I'm not gonna say where I live, but I was like the shopping center near where I live. And like there's a Spanish restaurant, I would go all the time just to speak to somebody in Spanish. Like little things like that is what helped me improve and get to the place that I'm at today. So that has definitely affected me. I like to listen to music. So the way I learn I can't even speak English, you guys know that. The way I learn languages is through music has definitely helped me a lot. I was singing in Spanish before I could understand what I was saying. I was singing in Portuguese before I could understand French. To this day, I'm like, what am I saying? I know the words, but what do they mean? That's a different question. But that personality trait that I have has very much helped me learn languages, but learn languages quickly as well. Because I feel like if someone was a bit more shy, they can't use the tactics that I'm using because it's just not going to be as beneficial for them. Do you know what I mean? Do you prefer individually or in a class, like, to learn a language? I would say both. I would say initially, maybe in a class because you need that grammar, you need that structure. But I'm telling you now, individually is the way to go. Because there's certain things, especially in this country, England, the education system and the way they teach languages, like, say you're really passionate and you want to ask a question. If it's not part of the marking scheme, can you just save that for later? Like, it's very much, we're going to get you to pass the exam. That is about it. So I would say individually is the best way to learn slang. It's the best way to learn how they speak, because if I have a 50-year-old woman teaching me Spanish and I'm 21, she's not going to know that slang, and I can go out of my way individually to find out that slang and how to use it in a context. So I would say you need class sometimes for structure and the foundations, but individually for you to progress quicker. What are your favorite language learning materials? This one, what's his name? Hugo, isn't it? Hugo, give me a second. It just says Hugo, but this in 3-month series, I have the French one that's not here right now. I have the Spanish one, I have the Portuguese one. That is very good for me as like a foundation grammar, and it just gives me structure, like week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. If you just gave me a fat textbook, how much am I going to go through? Do you know what I mean? It's going to be left to me. But with this, I have to complete week 1 in a week. Do you know what I mean? Music as well. I literally have a French, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian. I have 2 French playlists. I have like 3 Spanish ones. Like, I have different music playlists in terms of language learning resources. I would say that is it. And then, yeah, that's the main resources that I use. How much do you actively spend learning languages a week? That is a very good question. I would say right now, it's probably 3 hours. Is it 3? 3-4 hours Portuguese active, because I've made the decision that I want to learn Portuguese. But all my other language learning is very passive. I'm so sorry, because I feel like I've reached a point where I don't need to do any more active learning for Spanish. I don't need to sit down and be like, yo quiero. Like, I don't need that because my level is so good. Same with French. It's not as good as my Spanish, but I don't need active learning. I need to, speak to people, apply, make sure I don't lose it, but I don't feel like I actively need to do it anymore. So the active one is probably for the languages like Portuguese, Yoruba, like the languages that I'm trying to get the foundations, do you know what I mean? So about, in terms of how long, 3 hours. And that just started yesterday. Before that, before I decided to do Portuguese, I wasn't actively learning. Like, I was listening to music, I was watching shows, but I wouldn't say that's active. I would say active is like sitting down and like learning with the goal, do you know what I mean? Short-term and long-term language goals. Short-term, just get through this Portuguese in 3 months book. I am quite disciplined, so I know I'm going to get through it. But in terms of that, I would say that's my only short-term goal. Maybe to make friends that speak Portuguese. And like, now that I've moved back to England, I need Spanish friends, guys. I was surrounded by Spanish people for 10 months. I need that in England. I need to keep that going. So that would probably be, and French. I keep forgetting about French. I would say that's my short-term goals. Long-term goals, fluency in, let's say I'm fluent in Spanish. Fluency in French, Portuguese, and Yoruba. That is my long-term goals. I might pick up like Japanese, Korean, Japanese, Korean, or Mandarin. One of those, probably Mandarin, because that's the language of the future. And then just to use my languages, which I do anyway, because that's just the way I am. If you know me, you know that I don't speak English 100%. Spanish is in there, a bit of French, like, do you know what I mean? So that would be my language learning goals. Oh, how cute. Favorite language. Okay. It's not English, I'll tell you that. It's not English. Favorite language to speak. Oh my goodness. I love Spanish, guys. I love Spanish. I love French music. I did fall in love with reggaeton when I lived in Madrid, but music-wise, French is up there for me. I love it. It's just the vibe. French music, the way it gets you hype. Can reggaeton do that? Yo no sé. So it's gonna say, but I love speaking Portuguese. That's what I said to my friends, once I learn Portuguese, I'm gonna be unstoppable. Because I feel like Portuguese complements my personality so well. So can I say that my favourite language is Portuguese, even though I don't speak it? Should we say Portuguese? It's because I'm learning it now. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to say Portuguese. My favourite language is Portuguese. Next language that you want to learn, I've kind of covered that. I'm learning Portuguese and I'm going to improve my Yoruba. I want to improve these 4 languages. I mean, Spanish is already up there, but French, Portuguese, and Yoruba. I need to improve that before I think about starting a new language. But once I pattern all of these, Mandarin, I'm coming for you. Last question, what advice would you give to someone that wants to learn a new language? One thing I would say is that everyone's language learning experience is going to be different. You can be watching a video about this is how you should do it, but it might not work for you. So I would say find a way that you learn, if it's music, if it's shows, if it's immersion, 100%, that should be the way that you learn. But how else you learn, and discipline. Language learning is literally about discipline. I would not be at my Spanish level today if I did not consistently learn Spanish. That's why my French is not as good as my Spanish, because there was just a lack of discipline for French. Not a lack of love for the language, but a lack of discipline with that language. So that's why my Spanish, I started off with French, so I didn't know any Spanish, but my Spanish level just went above my French. So discipline and immersion. If you can, afford to or have the opportunity to go to the country where they speak that language, even if it's a week, a month, a year, go. Because there's only certain things that natives can teach you. I promise you that right now. You in your room, in England, wherever, are not going to learn until you go to that country. Whether it's Spanish from Argentina, Spanish from Mexico, Spanish from Spain, Portuguese from Portugal, Portuguese from Brazil, French from Canada, French from France, like, go to wherever the language that you're learning, and that's just the best way to learn, in my opinion. And discipline. That is the end of the questions. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy the switch up in content. If you guys don't like the language learning content, well, you'll like it today. You know what I mean? There's nothing I can do about it. I am passionate about learning languages. If you know me, you know I'm a bilingual babe. I love my bilingual babes too. Like, it's just part of who I am, and it's something I'm very excited to, you know, over the next few years, see how my language learning develops and how unstoppable I'm gonna be when I speak, because I'm already unstoppable now, but I'm gonna be even more unstoppable when I conquer all these languages. But thank you so much for watching, guys, and hasta la próxima.